Welcome to the match replay of the big clash between Sydney and GWS. The second of the derbies here in Sydney between the Swans and the Giants. Craig Bird named as the substitute. The Swans coming up with a very big win against the Cats, where they were almost run down, but they held on for victory and looking to once again control their crosstown rivals. No doubt something that will build over the years and provide plenty of entertainment and some good crowds hopefully in the future. The Giants themselves, after being smashed by Melbourne, recall some experienced players. Power, who was the sub last week, a starter along with Chad Corns. Kennedy named as the sub. Let's get into the action from ANZ Stadium.
Wrapped to see Chad Corns. No one ever talks about how well Chad Corns' year has been, and he probably won't be mentioned at All-Australian honours time, Lynchy, but geez, he's been a fantastically consistent player for the GWS. It's great to have him back in this side because the kids around him grow an extra leg when he's there, and he has been a superb pickup. But tonight he may well get the job on Adam Goods, who will be pretty keen, I think, after a two-possession game last week to make his mark again on the game.
Yeah, you won't see Adam Goods have two quiet games, so that's for sure. Corns is very important to the development of the young players up here. He does play a very good loose man defence role at times, but may be forced to pick up one of the guns of the Swans forward line tonight. And there's young Patton, and he's an imposing young guy coming up to game 3, would you believe? Just game 3, but he's a mountain of a man, and we may not see the best of him for a few years yet, but he's going to develop into quite a forward, I'm sure.
So too's young Tomlinson. We saw him beside Patton there as well. He's about the same size. He's a young kid with plenty of know-how up in the forward line. Both sides going with tall forward lines. Hutto at the other end of the ground, you got Roberts, Thompson, you got Reid, you got Mummy.
Mumson starting forward, as we saw there, with more for company, and we're into it. And it doesn't start with the most glorious of bounces, but the umpire says that'll do. And Giles slaps it back. Hasn't he been a find for them this year? Jack getting in and under, Pike and McGlynn, who started so sprightly last week for the Swans. They're inside 50, bypasses a couple, but not Reid. McVeigh all the way, almost to full forward. Bug trying to get control of it, and Green. Hard one with the ball going every which way. Bolton applied a tackle. Jetta. The crowd will get involved whenever he's near it. Kennedy. Boundary line is pretty close to the lot, and it's over now.
Really good pressure from Bug early, and that's a good decision from that umpire because it was absolutely deliberate, but Bug has got the job on Jetta.
Yeah, exciting young player, Bug, and you saw a bit of his work pre-game. Exciting young man as well.
Just sets it up. Giles had the read on it, but the damage could still be done by Big Mumford. Goods didn't do any favours for Big Mike Pike. McVeigh, Roberts, Thompson. Probably a handball would have been a better option, but he wasn't to know.
And as mentioned, Corns has gone with Adam Goods. They started on the wing. You think Corns will peel defensive side and probably drop off as the loose man defence. He won't want Adam Goods to turn him around and run goal side. So that'll be an interesting match-up to a couple of players that have played, been picked in many All-Australian teams.
He had 24 touches in round 1, did Corns, and there was plenty of defensive touches in that game as Reid hits up Goods.
Well, that was a case in point. Corns had dropped off Goods, wanting to be the loose man defence. Goods, he's a very smart man. He sat up 40 metres out from goal and drew the short pass inside 50, which the Sydney Swans do probably better than most teams in the comp.
Adam Treloar, hard tag on McVeigh.
Just the 7 disposals last week for Adam Goods. This is to the left.
Yeah, well, Treloar, from memory, 26 disposals last week at the MCG. He's PB for the season.
They've got so many good young midfielders coming through. They are going to have one of the best attacking half-backs, Hutto, in a few years' time, because if you can't make it in the midfield, you whip onto that half-back line and generate the ball from there.
There's a couple of good ones in the grandstand with Canelio and Dom Tyson amongst others.
So this is Phil Davis. The ball's been played exclusively in Sydney's half, almost there, exclusively in their 50, but no damage done just yet. Edwards switches for Palmer. Is there an exit for them? Not really. Looking at it from here, there is no way out at the moment. They are hemmed in. Moore gives him a little bit of a lead, but there's not much in that. He's forced to go down the line, and it's all about territory. Grundy And Mattner raffled it between them. Grundy took 10 marks in round 1 against them, and Richards took 10 as well.
And you could just see there, Hutto, the advantage of a few years, probably a dozen years in the weight room up against Cameron.
Good spoil from Edwards. McVeigh, O'Keefe trying to get busy, but sheer weight of numbers is going to be the issue for them. Corns. And Roberts-Thompson's come off second best out of that. He is down in a bit of heat.
Well, it looked like Corns was going to be in the Swan sandwich, but it did look as if the two Swans boys hit heads and friendly fire.
Now we know that
Corns had in the end.
Corns has got a whack there, but Roberts-Thompson, we know he's had that injury. That's hit the lower part of the left jaw
right
on Roberts-Thompson as well. So
Cannon, wasn't it, really?
He had the fractured eye socket earlier in the season, which kept him out for a couple of weeks. He might just go to the bench and freshen up and do a little concussion test, I would have thought.
And McDonald has got a negative role on Reece Shaw, which doesn't surprise because Shaw has had such a fantastic year, just slingshotting off the halfback.
He does. He's really developed since he's made the move to the Sydney Swans, and of recent times he's using the ball very well.
So they're a man down just for the moment, while Roberts-Thompson makes his way off the ground. So let's see if they can use that extra body out there, GWS. Edwards prepared to handball back to Giles. No, gives it straight up to Goods. Mattner on his wrong side.
Oh, good intercept.
Jeremy Cameron slipped in, but took it right back into defence. And in the end, Mike Pike proved a pretty big obstacle to overcome. But Moore gets just heaving it out to the wing position.
And with Cameron up the ground, that leaves a 2-on-1 situation. His man, Grundy, doing the mopping up.
Not a great handball from Grundy. Away from Johnson, and it's out.
And that's what we saw from round 1 as well. And we see it week in, week out. If the Swans are allowed that loose man defence, they do it better than most teams in the competition. So Grundy, he'll be the key. It's key to the game if he's going to float around by himself across half-back.
As I mentioned, he and Richards both had 10 marks in that first round. They've been a great combination for the Swans. Reid, he'll be looking for a big night tonight. He'll have Davis for company, you would suspect, and that'll be a battle we'll no doubt see for a few years to come. Moore getting very ambitious in the 50. Advantage paid, taken, Hanbury, quick reaction, good goal.
Well, it's taken a lot of effort for that first goal, and certainly we spoke pre-game about GWS getting numbers around the ball. They've done that. There's Sheeds up there in the coach's box just barking instructions down the line, but see, Timmy Moore just took on the extra tackler. In other words, Kennedy had the effective tackle, and in the end, incorrect disposal, allowed to play on, and Hanbury, very nice goal from 35 metres out.
And look, Jared, probably wasn't the right choice he made to take him on, but they do have to show some initiative to get it out of there.
Yeah, I don't mind seeing young blokes make mistakes. It was a pretty smart tackle by Kennedy in the finish. He just restricted the strike hand and dragged the free kick.
O'Keefe to Jack, and hasn't he been a prime instigator as well as the season's gone on, both inside and out of the contest? The ever-growing numbers around the contest. Kieran Jack, a perfect player really for the modern game of footy, Jared.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing young Tom Mitchell come into this side. They are building a midfield, Lynchy, comparable with the best, and it's going to be around for a long time.
Well, I think 2 years ago we were starting to wonder where their outside speed was going to come from, but they've certainly got plenty of it now.
Speaking of outside speed, there's a little bit of it in Adam Goods, getting a couple of nice touches early in the piece.
Got it down in the Mumford direction, but that's as far as it went as far as the Swans are concerned. So maybe for GWS an opportunity. Patton putting the pressure on Johnson. Richards was always there as insurance. And good tight stuff from Patton. Locks it in.
Colby, you followed LRT off the ground and he's gone up the race.
He has, with Nathan Higgins. Just watching the GWS forward line. Dean Brogan going forward for them as well.
Well, remember in round 1 as that's swatted away by Richards that they didn't really have a forward structure at all. They pushed them right up and made life very difficult for Israel.
Smart play though by Teddy Richards. He just immediately grabbed the body, pushed Patton under the ground, up under the ball, and he'll learn from that. He'll push back harder next time.
Three's a crowd in the ruck. They all went up. Green has been terrific for them this year. Tremendous roving again. Got them deep, but Richards gets them out. All of it. You can never count Jeremy Cameron out of a contest. We've seen that all too often. Back towards the goal square. Good body engagement on McDonald by Shaw. And the bomb in from Wilson has worked over the boundary line. And Shaw, very vocal character when he needs to be out there.
Well, that's a small win for GWS. The Sydney Swans had gained possession and were trying to run it out of their defensive half, but turned around and pushed it back to that 15-metre stoppage.
Jack McVeigh running the gauntlet. He got a little nervous, kicked it as quickly as he could. Again, they have the extra number here, GWS. If Wilson can contain it, he couldn't. Just sneaks over the boundary line before Edwards was ready to make his move. Sydney with the only goal of this contest thus far. Kicked by Daniel Hanbury.
Jared McVeigh still just getting a little bit too much room at these stoppages. Edwards has now gone onto him, and he's just got to body him up. He's too smart a character to be given too much space. In fact, it now looks like Callum Waters. No, he's gone to Jack.
Opportunity for Scully, perhaps. Jack beat him to the punch, but well done from Scully. Ward, Jetta, it's out on the full.
And I'm happy with this. That's out in the full, so GWS get another inside 50, but they've managed to have a one-on-ones right around the ground, so they're not going to allow Richards and Grundy to be the loose man in defence.
Just noticing Lewis Roberts-Thompson walking back out on the ground. You can see there on the boundary line with Nathan Gibbs.
Power taking on Jetta. Not sure of the wisdom of that. And pretty tightish boundaries around the pockets, so there was no room to manoeuvre there.
Yeah, they're not deep pockets, so if you get a ball or a shot on the boundary line, you certainly see a fair bit of space between the goalposts.
McVeigh used all he had. Goods to the wing. A little bit of disorientation there. That suits Sydney just fine. Kennedy for McLean. One more and they were in the clear. Moore dancing his little dance and gets it safely over the line and out of bounds. Feels like the boundary lines have been brought in even further. It might just be an optical illusion from up here, but let's have a look at the throw in. Mumford into the ruck action.
Well, Sheech did once tie down a windside.
So anything's possible. Bolton to full forward. Big Mike Pike.
Well, that's an exceptional mark for Mike Pike. He just come onto the ground, and this sort of thing, we saw it last week. He took a contested mark against Matty Scarlett, which you don't see anyone take too many of those. This will keep him in the side. You can't have just two legitimate ruckmen that, especially if one can't go forward. You need both to be able to catch the ball forward, and certainly Mike Pike's developing.
Here he comes. Straight through. Sydney have got the first two.
Well, they do just look a little bit dangerous when the big boys get together down deep in their forward line. Bear in mind that Sam Reid also is down there, and he's capable of getting higher than a lot of them. But this is just a good combination. It's just a kick into both of them. Both defenders were taking the back spot, and they got caught out. Phil Davis wasn't able to go with the body strength of Mike Pike.
And Davis would be very disappointed with that. I mean, he's been around a couple of seasons now and would have backed himself in there.
Nice little wheels from Mike Pike. I don't know if that's got something to do with multicultural round. Everything is a little bit different for the round. The Canadians put through a goal. Not sure if he's in that nomination for the...
I think allowed to go with the Larry boots. I know the black is these days Larry, but not Teddy Richards in the back half.
No.
Well, Bolton streaming forward, still in stellar form after all these years, putting the pressure on Corns. Pike flew now. Goods, Moore closed him down. Roberts-Thompson back in the thrust of it, which is great to see. He's over the top. Oh, Goods threw that out straight to Jack. Top of the goal square. All right, the umpire happy he knew who it was. It was Phil Davis.
And you've got to move it quickly now, the GWS. They've got blokes on the outside. The rider's out there. Palmer, he's had his hands in the air, but they've got to take a punt and move it on.
So Bug, well, that's close to the boundary line. If Kevin Sheedy did change the width of the ground, it's not working for his team at the moment because they've kicked a couple out on the full.
And we know at this stadium you can move the grandstands in to take out a bit of the wing, so maybe at half-time he might move it in.
There's no better investigative boundary rider than Lee Colbert. He will already be onto it.
Well, that lead from Jetta was electric. He just took off and put 10 metres between him and his direct opponent, so nice little pass in front of Jetta. And rarely misses these days.
And they'll take a good kick from there, all of 49 metres with angle.
Big call.
But that is just simple for Jetta.
For a young man that, 19 points straight before his first goal when he emerged on the scene, he's slotting them from everywhere, Jetta. And we know that he's his outside run's been fantastic. He's finishing his work off with great goals. And if there's a Swans player in real contention for All-Australian selection,
no doubt
Jared,
about it, right,
he's got to be right up there.
Yep, at the halfway mark. The man responsible for the Sydney slingshot has got to be there. It's like Wayne Carey. Who do you play on him? The team.
Well, that's 29 goals for the year for Jetta. He is such an important part of the way Sydney play. And if ever a player, almost since Tony Lockett, is going to drag the fans to the footy, it's this man, I reckon, here in the harbour side. He is so exciting. Everett gets a start this week with Bird, the sub. Turned it straight over, though, and a big charge from Treloar, bounding towards goal. Oh, it deserved much better than that. Armstrong gets back to help out.
What was interesting, Hutto, is he had Jetta covered for pace.
Which says something, doesn't it? This is quick. There could have been some high contact there on Marty Madner, but shrugged the shoulders and the Swans are away again. McVeigh, some short stuff for Reid. Left it behind for Moore. Made life difficult, though, for Davis. Good backup from Palmer. Made his little move. Ooh, an ankle tap. Yeah, with an ankle tap while holding the ball. He did lose it into half forward. And good strong lead from Giles, who's proved himself a goal kicker. Hampton guiding. Good strong grab from Johnson.
Underrated, this kid. Gets very few mentions, Lynchy, but he is a regular contributor for the Swans and does give them plenty of rebound off that half-back.
Yep. Good pace, good size as well.
The thing about him, Jared, is he's actually been given the job on Jeremy Cameron tonight, so a feather in his cap.
Colby, keep your eye on Phil Davis. Just looks a little bit proppy to me and not running with the same freedom that he was early in the year. He's going to play in that position. He's got the capacity to be a rebound fullback. At the moment, he's just so focused on defence.
Yeah, well, he's actually conceded 30 goals this year, Phil Davis, and he's had to play that role, and we understand that. It's a tough position to be in at the moment.
Oh, it is, and you will.
Oh, there's a free kick down the ground here.
Down the field, that's not good, against Chad Corns on Adam Goods. And he's not too happy, Big Chad.
There's a holding, and so that's
Mumford.
why.
Oh, Mumford, yeah.
I think it might have been against Timmy Moore in the back half.
Yeah, sure, we'll try and clarify that. So Mumford, who has been forward a fair bit in the last couple of weeks on his return, has only managed 3 straight for the year. And that gives the goal umpire a bit of work to do. And it's a poster. So inside 50 count now up to 9, and for that they've kicked 3 goals, 3.
Here's the free cock.
Oh yeah, there's Collins hanging onto the pants of Big Mummy. There's Collins again. They've been locked in that back pocket. It's pretty predictable where it's going to head after that. Although this one gets through. Green makes his own path. Back to the wing again. There's plenty of Sydney bodies there. McDonald to make a nuisance of himself. Wasn't the greatest of handballs. And again, that ever-present boundary was pretty close.
Well, McDonald's done a pretty good job because Shaw is one of their high possession winners on a regular basis, and at the moment he's had just the 1 handball. Ball hasn't been down there a hell of a lot, though, to be fair to him.
Roberts Thompson could have gone to McVeigh. He decides, though, to head... Ooh, teammate who was being just a little casual for a moment in Johnson, but he marked it okay before the defence closed out. They still haven't scored yet, GWS, through the first half of the first quarter. Richards bombs away for half forward. Big bodies there to try and overcome. Everett now back with the flight, little Ben McGlynn. Wasn't a good time to lose the footing. Moore had to hurdle a couple like Sally Pearson. Treloar, and they're away again through Palmer.
Once again, though, you see how Sydney like to set up, just push the forwards up the ground, and then McGlynn runs into the paddock, or Jetta.
It was just a metre too long on that occasion, but they set it up beautifully.
Up on the wing, Kennedy. Good fierce contest and hard tackling from GWS. Tomlinson in there making his presence felt. Ward paddles, boundary.
And here's the chase from Adam Goods before. He took off very quickly and just a little tap of the ankles, not a lot in it, but that was why it wasn't an incorrect disposal call, because he didn't actually lay a tackle.
Down from Giles. Bolton. Pike. He's really taken on that role as the #1 Sydney ruckman, with Mumford coming back below fitness. Do you think when we get to the end of the season, this will be the combination for Sydney going into September as far as the rucks are concerned, Jared? Pike and Mumford?
Oh, absolutely. I think, Hutto, this last 3 or 4 weeks since Mumford's return has been proved to be their best combination at the moment.
Scully, high ball to the goal square. Richards has got most things covered this year. The danger still hasn't passed, though. Nice work from Smith. Power guiding into the pocket, getting that boundary in that tight pocket. He's marked it, Cameron.
He's a jet, this kid. He just absolutely read that the best. And our position, Ted Richards, and he's dragged it in. He'll probably go back and slot it straight through.
Well, he doesn't miss too many. He
look how far behind the boundary he is too.
A little ungamely in looking when he kicks, but he goes very well.
He kicked 3 last week, and he just knows his way around the goals, and he shows all that prowess again.
Well, there's a couple of shots from the second row of the grandstand with Cameron and certainly Jetta up the other end of the ground. The supporters very happy with that one. They got their first goal on the board.
Well, the Monks might have been praying for that one to go through, and they got their reward. It was very talented, wasn't it?
Yeah, the most impressive part was the way he took the mark here. Just got away from Ted Richards and did enough to protect the drop zone and hung on to a nice little mark. Then the check side on the left slipper. Very nice goal from Jeremy Cameron.
There he is, Cameron, one of the more talented players, and we shouldn't underestimate that kick of Luke Powers as well. That was a cracking kick.
Absolutely, no, very good kick from Luke Power as they're away again, the Giants, and they just a good distribution here and got the clearance.
Well, maybe that can give them a little momentum. If you can steal the goal, it can change everything. Matt Nutt over the line and out of bounds.
Yeah, it's good running off half back from Reece Palmer. Tell you what, they get the next goal, Lynchy. They'll go to quarter time pretty pumped up, the Giants.
Well, they've gone about their targets by getting big numbers around the ball very well. Now, it's limited their ability to score, but certainly has stopped the Swans' ability to get the ball through the big sticks.
Well, if the Swans could get clear here, they had plenty of space to run into, as is their way.
And a pretty dangerous matchup at full forward.
And again,
Goods and more.
This is going to go close to the boundary line. Or it was out on the full lap. It was.
Colby, looks like they're going head-to-head with Reid, because Reid comes off, and so too does Phil Davis.
Yes, mate. He's had a few players through him already, Phil Davis, so he's come off this time. But interesting watching Tom Scully running around with Kieran Jack. He's had a great quarter with 5 tackles already, showing the way.
Well, they used Smith and Shaw on the way out. That was a very well constructed piece of play by the Swans. Superbly drilled. Not a great kick from Richards. Oh, LRT, Roberts-Thompson fighting on gamely. And well done from Kennedy. Just belts it in there deep to make the defenders nervous. And they do. Oh, McVeigh probably rushed it a little. He had just a split second longer than he realised. Now he's going to lay a big tackle on Ward or more. A handball in hope more than anything. Shield lays plenty on O'Keefe. McVeigh to the voice of McGlynn. If any man can find a way out, it was him, but he couldn't. Shield, desperate stages here for the defence. McVeigh again to the voice. Bolton well protected. Marker, oh no, for a kick.
Jeez.
He
Astonishing.
got the legs taken from under him.
Hanbury has the shot for goal. It's a behind. I'd like to see that again.
Some scrappy football there, Lynchy.
Yeah, a bit of scrappy football from both teams, and we just saw here. Luke Power, he's tripped and just taken the legs straight from under him, and Jude Bolton went down.
Nice double effort by Dylan Shield out on the other side of the ground. He's been a really impressive young midfielder. A lot was talked about, taken as a 17-year-old, how good he is, and he hasn't failed to deliver in his first year.
No, certainly hasn't. Already nominated for the NAB Rising Star Award just a few weeks ago. It was a big move, certainly, for those 17-year-old kids when they came up 18 months ago to Sydney.
All camped right in that back pocket, and again it was predictable on the way out. Close to the boundary line, and now over.
So the big young players that you spoke about pre-game, Jared, Big Patton and Tomlinson, two developing young forwards.
I reckon they're big now.
Oh, they'll be massive in 3 years.
And a little bit of iron over summer.
Well, they cleared a path for Shield. And he's been a very impressive young midfielder for them this year. Highly credentialed as a junior. And certainly lived up to it. Speaking of highly rated youngsters.
I think this is the big difference between the Giants and the Suns. The tall youngsters for the Giants just look so much more advanced and so much more capable at the moment than those up in the Gold Coast.
Hanbury and Kennedy running their own race there, but not really having it all their own way. Shaw forced to kick to Everett on the half volley, couldn't trap it, tried to go and get it, beaten to it by Bug. Sneaky little kick from Edwards, found its mark, and again another level from Green to Palmer. Squeeze it out the back. Still an opportunity. Treloar all there for him, and gee, would like to have another go at that, wouldn't he?
He's had a bit of the ball early. And the 6 disposals so far. Green's leading the way with 8.
Yeah, they're going with the press here. Pretty much man on man, but the Swans have got so many players up there that mimics a press. Just means they're so dangerous. If they can break a line, it's going to be Adam Goods running with more.
There was only going to be one winner there. That was Big Mumford in a marking contest against Luke Power.
Well, the ball doesn't quite go out yet. Now it does.
And Power still running back with Mumford. He's had that match-up. He did well to contest, but just obviously there's a fair bit of size difference here. Don't want to put a bit of pressure on, but just didn't have the reach, the little fella.
Game number 294 for Luke Power. Getting closer to 300. Shield again. As well guided down by Giles. An impressive opening season he's had in the ruck. This time it gets away from Smith.
I liked his work rate though. He's bolted 60 metres on the sprint to get to that fall of the ball.
Well, this is a very credible performance by GWS. We know how much the Swans have done damage in first quarters in recent weeks.
Look, they blew away one of the great modern day teams last week in the first quarter. Geelong obviously came back to hit the front in the last quarter, but good effort from GWS so far.
Sure about the advantage that was paid that time.
Giles has got to do better though. You just can't get into a ruck contest and push the bloke in the back.
Power. A little moment. Now Treloar. Oh, he's done well again to control the footy when it seemed to be slipping away. Smith dealt it. Corns received it. Quite penetrating kick. But Richards was the first onto it back there on the last line.
Yeah, he says things really quickly, Ted Richards, and dropped off his opponent when he recognised that the ball was going to go long and took a very easy mark in the end.
So too does Devon Smith. I mean, he just whipped that handball out to Chad Corns. No consideration for any other option. He summed it up perfectly. And Chad, I reckon, should have kicked a goal. He's just lost a little bit of his kicking power.
Reid and Mumford both towering figures on the wing. Mumford feeding Reid. Now McGlynn, he just spots it inside. That's where the kick was designed for. Touched, you heard the call, which made things a little bit more difficult. Good's careful. Not well, I thought careful not to give away the free. But
that's brilliant by Power.
Yeah, he made the free kick his own in a way. Now the run of Scully suits him on the left, open square. Instead, he had them fooled.
Play of the day so far, or play of the night so far. Luke Power runs off a line, puts his head over the ball, wins it back. Then Scully's spread and run was brilliant, and his decision not to blaze away, just to short kick it, sets him up for a nice shot at goal.
And in between that, the short kick of Corns to hit Scully up. Very, very nice work.
So Tomlinson to shoot for goal. The Sydney coach is not happy. And he's going to be even... Oh, which side? Wrong side. I was going to say he's going to be even grumpier now if that goal had gone through.
Well, he'd probably be a little bit disappointed. The byproduct of some of his disappointment, we'll see the inside 50 count is 11-9 in favour of Sydney, but they've really closed the gap after that first 10 minutes. A bit of an onslaught from the Swans.
Just a little... they've had just made a few little mistakes under some pressure across half forward, which has slowed their ball movement down. Doesn't stop the train this time. Hanbury already a goal kicker. Well placed for Reid to at least get the first, but he had no mates around him, so forced to go solo. And you can see the result.
It was just a lunge, desperate lunge at the finish. It was good work by Sam Reid to win the ball. And what almost constituted a push in the back was allowed to get through.
Giles. They've been doing okay around the stoppages. It is 11-7 in favour of the Swans. They've been competitive as the quarter has continued. It's a big lock up here.
A bit slack by the umpire. I reckon he was clearly disadvantaged there, Sam Reid. It was a push in the lower part of the back. That was a free kick.
Pike brought it to ground against Shield. Green just fashioned the ball out of there.
Look, I think you're right, Jared, but do we see those paid? Do we want to see those paid? Is
absolutely.
That
if it's a push in the back and it's
push in the back?
No doubt. If it puts him off a shot at goal, that's a free kick for him.
She's a hard caver for a defender these days.
You've got about 12 blokes down there helping you.
Green back to the wing. They've almost beat a Falcon. Jack pumping it. He worked his way to the front that time, Reid, but still didn't get to the right spot. Shield, the ball magnet he is proving to be. Edwards.
And Steve Silvani's doing a little bit of coaching up here. There was a nice little grapple there from Phil Davis on Sam Reid. Got away with it.
There's Mark Williams. Sheeds has made his way down. A little orange fan there, Choco in the box. Just keep calm. Giles trying there. O'Keefe. And another ball up. So minute 22 remaining in this opening quarter. 14 points the margin. If they can take that to the first break, that's something to work with, GWS. Swans, on the other hand, would love to snatch one late. Ward crunching stuff to Palmer. Back to Ward. What a leader he's been for them this year. Finds Brogan. He takes the mark on the backside of the wing. So you would think it's more likely to be the Giants that have the opportunity to score, if any, in this closing minute of the opening term. Moore. Hampton calling for it on the wing if he's so ambitious, and he is.
Good kick.
So he's called on now. The opening's just closing up for him a little. Back to Davis. 45 seconds. Sydney haven't been allowed to have those extra numbers all the time across half back. So even when they've won them like that, they've had to work their way through and not through the impasse that time.
Really well assessed by Corns. Took the front spot.
Going to be hunted here by Bolton, but got the kick away. We're down to 18 seconds. Could still spring either way from here. Everett. Now the clamps are on. Someone's got one high. That was Scully. O'Keefe. 8 seconds. Have to be mighty quick. And I think the time will be the winner here, despite the best efforts of Armstrong. Quarter time comes after a 31-minute opening term in which Sydney kicked 3 goals for, and GWS managed just the 1 goal, but they were certainly competitive, and more so as the term went on.
Yeah, no, very good. They fought back after that onslaught from the Swans in the first 10 minutes, and they certainly got to the first break in good condition.
Which is pretty much what you thought they should be focusing on pre-match.
That's what we were hoping for, that's for sure.
14 points the difference at quarter time at ANZ Stadium. Back with the second term right after this. Riding close with Kevin Sheedy in the GWS huddle. Quarter time, they only managed a goal, but they're still in touch here. Just 14 points down at quarter time. The Swans with 3-4, making up the 22 you see there, GWS. 1 goal, 2. Sydney looked really threatening in the first 10 minutes or so, but GWS defence was pretty steadfast, and so they're right in the contest, Lee Colvin.
So Anthony, well, both coaches fairly animated at quarter time. John Longmire upset with their structures, the way they were moving the ball forward, something they've been very good at all year. And Kevin Sheedy, well, he got stuck into a couple of players for not playing their roles. One thing he'd be disappointed with would be turnovers, though. They got caught out in this first term, scores from turnovers. As you can see here, 2 goals, 3-15, Sydney Swans, and two points for GWS through turnovers. Fix that part of the game up, they're well and truly in it.
Thank you, Colby. As we look at the stats, Jared, some of the stats in the opening quarter, who do you think's down a bit for either side, particularly perhaps for the Swans that can get back in it?
I think the Swans, just generally their midfield isn't really playing with the same verve and vigour that I think that we've come to expect. They're just a few of them just going through the motions at the present time, and they've got to be a little bit careful, Lynchy. It's inside 50s. That's in favour of the Sydney Swans at the present time, but only marginally. I mean, they have had the ball inside their own forward 50, the GWS, enough, and they've missed probably easier shots than the Swans. They could well be 3 goals at least.
Absolutely, and on that, you've got to take into consideration Sydney were 5-0 up in that first few minutes, and certainly the ball was the game was being played in the forward half of the Sydney Swans. So a credit to the young GWS side to stop the flow from the Swans and get back into the game, and they're very much in the game so far. The next challenge is the second quarter. They've got to hang on. Disappointing drop away last week.
You can see there that they had it in their forward half, 55 to 45%, and wouldn't GWS love to get it out of there straight away into their forward line? They're ready through Power, taking it out onto the wing, and Treloar's been prominent so far. Gets them inside. Grundy had it covered. Adventurous kick out wide for McGlynn, who's got goods to run with him.
He's pretty lucky there, Reece Shaw, that Grundy covered pretty well for him. It was a mark we haven't seen him drop very often.
Not a good kick, really. Made it life awfully difficult for O'Keefe. Corns, flat-footed and away from goal there, the 2 GWS players, Scully and also Bug, and that was, hence the turnover came. It was pretty comfortable for Jack to drive it into Reid.
Makes it a pretty simple game, Lynchy, when you can get a ball halfway down the ground, through the middle of the ground, turn around, and you've got a one-out Sam Reid running straight up the alley. Absolutely.
Pulled the kick very nicely to allow Sam Reid to run into that one, so this is a good indicator for his night.
Well, it's a decent distance to cover. He's got up and under it a bit too, and it's hasn't made it in the end.
Oh, that's incredible.
Kennedy invented that on the spot.
Well, that's a really disappointing result. We said it's a good indicator for Sam Reid how he goes with his early shots at goal, but that ball dropped short. Some nice work to punch the ball back in from Mumford, but really disappointing from a GWS point of view not to get the ball over the line. So very good work from Mike Pike, it actually was there.
I think you've been very harsh, Lynchy. That's a set play for Sydney. That is their version of the alley-oop.
Very nice, yeah.
Reid has just set it straight up there for Mummy. He's tapped it to the front for Joe Kennedy. Goal!
Dunk.
Well, that is some goal.
Yeah, good result. Very good result for the Swans. But as I said, I think GWS defensive coach will be a little disappointed with that one.
Mumford dragged it down. Goods. Matner. Yeah, a little bit of holding.
If it was a set play, it was pretty well done.
It was well executed, that's for sure. Goods had 6 in the first quarter, coming up for number 7.
You can see now the Swans are pulling their forwards deeper, so there's plenty of room to move up.
Bit of a propping kick for McVeigh. Made the job easier for Power, but they quickly shut his pace down, space down. Shield back to Power. Maybe one too many handballs there. Look at that from McVeigh. A few tricks the Swans are displaying early in the second term here for us.
Once again, just looking at Dylan Shield, he doesn't look as if he has any dramas whatsoever with the physical aspects of the game. He's got quite a well-developed body already, and he uses it well. 7
contested possessions for Shield in this game, and just the one uncontested so far. So he's going to be right there at the coalface for many years to come, you would imagine, for GWS.
Yeah, they've got very impressive depth through the midfield, and certainly the well-developed bodies when you take into consideration they're just 18 and 19 years old.
You can just see there behind the umpire, Green going with Kennedy two blokes who I'm sure are going to have a lot of battles through the stoushes over the years. Lynchy, both very high possession winners, both inside players.
Jared, have a look at the recipe for success. The Swans are winning the contested ball, and certainly disposal efficiency slightly in favour of the GWS, which is a really good win. Tackling pressure's right up there for GWS. So some really good indicators for the Giants at this early stage of the game.
And I think that's the one area just in his first few minutes, Colby. It's pretty evident that John Longmire's gone out there and said, how about a little bit of the defensive stuff?
Exactly, Jared. He was really upset at quarter time.
Another out on the full, proving costly for GWS.
But it came as a result of really heavy pressure by the Swans forwards.
Just see here the big forwards for the Swans looking to put a block on.
So Adam Goods, 12 goals, 7 for the year coming in tonight. And 2 behinds to his name now.
What do you reckon, Lynchy? Is that reasonable for him to have a shot there, or given the level of big talls that you've got, you bang it to the top of the square?
No, it was well within his range. I think have a shot. And then surprisingly again, the ball's almost landed on the goal line without a GWS fist to the ball to get it over the line. So just got to be onto that one.
Edwards.
And Cameron.
Oh, Cameron, didn't he come? Couldn't take it. Kennedy, Palmer.
Free kick.
So Rhys Palmer gets it over to Power. McDonald. They always seem to be just a little off the ball on that occasion.
Jude Bolton's one. It's been a little bit quiet.
Yep.
He's had a fantastic season, Jude Bolton. Not sure who'd be winning the best and fairest. I suspect that it would be Kennedy at the present time, but Bolton would be pushing him.
Oh,
Ted
absolutely.
Richards would be right up there, I imagine.
Yeah, it's a slowish start for Bolton, but he's the type of player that'll work his way back into the game, going head-to-head with that man there, Callum Ward.
Ward slashing stuff again. Smith, it came the way of Everett. Wanders inside the 50. Edwards, Corns. Powers had to do an enormous amount of work so far. Treloar back to the wing. Patton and Brogan were both there. Johnson, Shaw.
Well, they got the big spread on here.
And he saw it, he knew it, he sensed it, then he actually knew where his teammates are likely to be. Armstrong, Wilson hunted him. Was it a correct disposal or not? I guess only the replay will show. Jeddah hasn't been quite at his devastating best so far tonight. Grundy, and they'll set up again via Armstrong.
Well, I think they butchered a goal there. John Longmire will be disappointed with that one. Some great chase and tackle from GWS.
Hasn't he got some pace?
That was great chase, but they were out, the Swans.
Everett, he showed he could kick a goal from around there last week. He almost held on. Now, what's the umpire going to do in here? It could have been any decision there. Holding the ball too high. Somewhere in between.
Just take a look at this push in the back against Payton at the front. Now, it looked a lot worse from the commentary position it did on screen, so we won't replay that when we go to air.
When are we going to air, Jared? Palmer back to the wing. Patton up to meet it again. Good support from behind. Smith. Over and out.
And again, they're just working well, the Giants. Both teams are working well, but a lot of pressure on around the ball carrier. Big numbers around each stoppage in this game so far.
Again, quick moving hands from Mike Pike. Jeddah, Shaw, he wanted it back when he gave and got it and kicked it quickly to half forward. They're advancing. Davis still under some stress, but was able to work the hands quickly to Edwards. And Callum Ward able to collect it.
Well, there's nowhere to go. That's why they tried to come back through the corridor, but there was no one on offer. So they're trying to sneak their way around the boundary line with these 15 to 20 metre dinky kicks.
Well, that's right. You'd suggest that, they're over-possessing the ball, but the fact is that's a result of the really good defensive pressure from the Sydney Swans.
Scully heads to half forward. Richards with the slap away. Wilson again. Good reaction. McDonald. And Hanbury was onto that, and he's got a bit of an outward bound path too. Decides to go down the middle. That wasn't such a good choice. They might still get out of trouble.
Well,
Wilson put the head down.
Wilson again.
Brogan has a plethora of options. Sets it up maybe a little too high, but it's all right. Patton's marked it.
Well, that time the two tools got in the way for Sydney. Ted Richards had to leave his man in Cameron. Push out onto Patton. And the big fellow gets another opportunity for a shot.
Yeah, I think the Swans' defence here, Richards, as you said, left his man to try to get and make a contest, but Patton too strong in the hands. But I think what happened, the transition, and Grundy took off with everyone else with the Swans, but a terrible turnover leaves you vulnerable deep.
Patton just slingshotted off the wrong way. Seems that's the word of the night.
That's one of the real things that, I mean, we know the Swans run offensively out of their deep defence really well, but you turn the ball over, you're going to score against them. On that occasion, Patton let them off the hook with a poor kick, but that's why GWS get scored against heavily, because they run optimistically, but they turn it over.
And that just sneaks through the cracks to Jack. Powers the kick to Goods. How quick did that swing from one end to the other?
That was brilliant play by the Swans. Just from one end of the ground to the other, and a magnificent kick. I mean, Adam Goods made fantastic pace and fantastic yards to get there, metres to get there, and he's still got to get the job done, but it was just high-class footy.
But so often we see these days forwards taking marks running back towards goal rather than actually hit up leads.
He's had a couple of siders. That's what's ahead of him. Elementary for someone in the class of Adam Goods.
So that's something they haven't been allowed to do much tonight, the Swans. They do it extremely well, and we've said in the pre-game, their outside runners really evolved this year with the speed, but haven't seen it so much in this game. But Jack, that's a perfect kick, as you called, just out in front of Adam Goods so he could run back into that space.
I reckon Mark McClure in the fantastic sides of the Blues was probably the first forward I can remember running backwards on that angle.
Yep. He's quarter play Adam Goods, and hasn't had a massive amount of the ball in the early part of the game, starting to get into the play now. 9 possessions, 1 goal, 2.
Well, we saw how much time the footy has spent in the Sydney forward half in this quarter. It's resulted in 2 goals, 1 to 1 behind so far. The Swans lead now out to 26 points.
They've been hard-earned goals, though. There's been a continuance of the pressure from the GWS.
Well, they've won the contested possession count in this quarter, the Giants, and 17 to 10.
Yeah, and they're leading disposals, and that's probably, once again, because they've had to go short on a number of occasions to find people, but certainly there's some good key indicators.
That's a great mark.
Phil Davis. Across to Moore as they work the outer side, but there's not much for them there long, so Hampton received it. Patton darts and leads now. That's where the kick heads. Not going to be easy for him. He's worked off it by Grundy successfully.
And once again, Patton just struggling when he takes that front position, which is admirable, to push back on his defenders. He has got to get in and get some strength into those legs.
Mike Pike makes the lead on McVeigh. Goes shorter than that. Kennedy, what a hulking big midfielder he is. Goes into the 50 again. And O'Keefe, who was in some fine form last week, takes the mark. Comes off a 26 disposal, 5 clearance, 5 tackle game. Sets it up for Reid, and really, that wasn't a high percentage kick from O'Keefe. Corns as good as anyone at working those defensive angles. That is an interesting pass back.
It's got 5 metres.
And almost through from behind. Trelaw had to just kick it for his life and get it out of there. Matner, you can see he had a bit of appetite. Thought he might be able to get on the end of the footy and kick a goal himself, perhaps there, Marty Matner. Jetta sneaks through. Oh, it's a fine line. It's a behind only.
Colby, Daniel Hanbury had some work done on the shoulder.
Actually, ankle, Jared. He limped off right ankle. Looks like he's being re-strapped now, putting the boot back on, so he's just going to see how he goes. He looked pretty sore when he came off the ground.
Glad they're not re-strapping his shoulders. He'd be there for a month.
Power. He's had 11 disposals. Bombs, Patton comes, so does Grundy. Could have been some interference as well that time, Jared. Cameron, we won't replay it.
No.
They scrap for it, Smith. And another ball up. Let him run, guys. Cameron and Patton both prepared to come down and provide some sort of a target, which is crucial in this sort of contest. Giles heaved it onto the wing. Cameron hits in hard and low on Smith. He was able to ricochet up pretty quickly. Bolton blew a tyre as he kicked that one in. Green, who's had 16 disposals, to Power. They bolt away for Corns. Palmer's there. If he looked quickly, he's still there. So is the boundary, though, and so is Adam Goods. He ducked somewhat, but he's
got the high tackle.
Adam Roberts has just snuck over the mark, sneaking over the mark there, but the umpire says it's okay.
But once again, we see the GWS just breaking down because of poor disposal on that back half. I mean, they were away there, and too often it's the third or fourth disposal in the chain, like this one here in particular.
Absolutely.
Goes to ground and knocks them back.
Yeah, the execution of their skills under pressure, and there's plenty of pressure from the Swans. Although John Longmire wasn't happy at half-time, they're certainly one of the really good pressure sides in the competition, so the Giants are feeling that at the moment.
36 plays 9. Beautiful night here at ANZ Stadium. Kick up to the wing, Patton. Timed his lead perfectly that time. Unfortunately, there's no one to kick to just yet. They push back hard now. High ball up into the 50. What a grab from Palmer. Unlikely source. Take a mark. Marty Matner's feeling it.
Absolutely. That was a great grab. Came from way back, 20 metres back with a long lead, and the knee straight in the back of Marty Matner, and a fantastic hang for a little man. Just had the nice ride as well, and that's a knee in the head. No wonder Marty Matner took a bit of time to get up.
Well, let's see what's ahead for Reece Palmer. Never been a massive goal kicker. 4-7 for the year. Man on the mark 35 metres out or so. Reasonably simple angle, and it's just done enough.
Well, he did that as if he does it pretty easily, Lynchy, but we know over the journey he's had a few issues in front of goal, but quite clearly he's done some work on it. That looked really well in control. Here's the big kick coming in from Patton after a mark that he was the only one who really wanted it, and that's a great hanger.
And I think Adam Goods didn't think he was going to go for it or take the mark as well, so he just let him go, and that's always an issue. If you let your forward go and jump into a pack, it's no good when he takes the mark like that.
So the margin trimmed at 21 points. And you've got to say this effort has really continued. In fact, maybe they've even amped it up a bit, judging by the second quarter contested possession count. 25-14 in the favour of GWS. Hanbury brusts a bit of a move to get out of there. Some of their disposal has just been a little bit imprecise, the Swans, and has made the next possession just that touch more difficult than they would normally be accustomed to.
Well, that was head high, but the disposal, I think, has been a little bit ragged, Hutto, because the pressure of the GWS is forcing those errors.
Pike over the top. Ward, who's clearly been their #1 contested possession man all year. In fact, coming into this game, he'd had 150 contested possessions for the season for GWS. The nearest was Big Giles with 100. So he's really led the way.
He's been a superb player for them. Very consistent throughout the year. Brogan winning that pretty easily, but straight down the throat of Jude Bolton.
Even the kicking efficiency numbers are favouring GWS. Probably bulked up a bit by the fact that they've taken so many little short passes when they've been hemmed in.
What they've done really well, though, they've prevented the Swans with probably 3 or 4 exceptions from getting that fast footy from these stoppages. They haven't been able to get the very clean takeaway and get that ball into the forward line quickly.
Absolutely. Treloar, he earns himself another contested possession and free kick.
Back to him now.
Shield. Richards got it away. Johnson had some time. Again, the quick ball movement by hand. McVeigh, knowing that that's probably a pretty good avenue for the Swans. They can work it. Could have gone to Hanbury, but bold kick for Bolton. Maybe a touch too bold. Bolton had to slap it. It was clever. Everett was allowed time to adjust and worked it into the 50 for Lewis Roberts Thompson.
Yeah, just having a look at Ben McGlynn's numbers, he's only had just 3 possessions, and he's almost one of those players who lives on that fast break as much as anybody if he's not given an inside roll through the middle of the ground. I've been watching him, he's working hard enough. It just hasn't been the supply.
So big Lewis Roberts Thompson, after copping a knock early, would love to hit back with a nice long 50-metre goal. And he slugged it perfectly, and it is through. Just the tonic for the Swans.
Yeah, they needed that one, the Sydney Swans. Certainly the leads out to 27 points, but I think John Longmire will be demanding effort, and certainly their execution of their skills running off halfback. We haven't seen a lot of this so far. Good tap on to set up this forward 50 entry, and this is what you need. Forwards presenting up at the ball, running back into space. But Lewis Roberts-Thompson held his ground inside 50, and Everett just hit him with a nice little pass out in front and set up the shot at goal. Well executed.
7th goal for the year, LRT. And the Swans now out to a 27-point margin once again.
So critical time for GWS as well. They need to answer here. They can't have repeat goals from the Sydney Swans, because then you got the potential of blowing out.
It was a good combination in the middle, wasn't it, to get it in there quick.
Yep.
Bouncing his way through Matner. And now Bolton again. Bit of a wobbly punt on the way out. Palmer did almost everything, but just didn't hold on. Armstrong. Pike looked a little bit unwieldy. Roberts-Thompson's got another high contact there.
And Chad Corns made him earn that one. It's good pressure.
So again, we get to this stage of the term where it's a little delicate for GWS, who are trying to cling on and stay within reach. They were able to do it in the opening term.
No signs at the moment, though, Hutto, that they're about to break it open here, the Swans.
No, none whatsoever. But they just need to continually put pressure on the ball carrier of the Swans so they can't bounce off half-back, what they do so well.
I mean, where the GWS have just got to get better is these little disposals, or these large disposals, turning them into genuine inside 50s.
This is the one, Jared. They've got to hit a target here. So they've got time to stop.
Trying to find a roll back in defence. In round 1 when they played, he kicked 3 behinds. He's a forward. So Tomlinson.
This is a height down there.
Yeah, there's a big pack of them, and in the middle, it's dragged down by Giles, who's shown himself to be a consistent goal kicker. Pretty much just one a week.
He's been an impressive pickup. I mean, a big-bodied, big, heavy ruckman with a bit of experience. Hasn't played AFL football, but been around the system for a few years. And his big body takes a lot of pressure off the young, light ruckman that are developing through the Giants list.
11 goals, 4 for the season. There's some pretty good credentials to say he kicked that goal, but he didn't, unfortunately. As far as the Giants fans are concerned, the instant kick into Smith does him no favours. Forces to heave it on the boot. Out for Everett. Shaw comes to help. Another Falcon. There's 3 or 4 for those that like to collect those numbers tonight. Giles. It's got a bit scrappy.
Pushed Josh Kennedy forward. He's on Power. It's a pretty handy matchup. Now they're going to make the swing. Power going over onto McGlynn.
And the Swans forwards up the ground, just telling a few to, just trying to drag a few of their teammates away from the stoppage. O'Keefe, he takes that rugby style over the line. The umpire gives that the A-OK. The R-OK. 6-6-42. 2-4. 16. Giles.
He's done all right in the ruck this quarter, Brogan. Risky habit taking the ball out of the ruck. You get pinged, you've got nowhere to go, but he got away with that one.
Margin stays at 26. McVeigh.
Well, they came with a plan, the GWS, to have heaps of numbers around the ball.
And they're executing it.
And it's fair to say they have done it brilliantly at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been able to put pressure on the Sydney Swans whenever they get possession in this situation and lay tackles, so they just can't run out with heaps of space, as we know they can so often.
It's not much of a spectacle at the moment, but they are staying in touch. They can sneak a goal or 2 here, close to half-time. Just be enough to worry the Swans. Giles, Shield, close to it, Bolton. Oh, steal from Green.
She's a smart player.
Hasn't he done some wonderful things this year? And again tonight, already up to 17 disposals. Armstrong. Now they might be nearly out here. Smith, he had O'Keefe for quite a while loose across half back, but takes the more conservative way out of defence. Hanbury forced to really test his skills, and it was just too much for him, too much distance to cover. Giles took too long. That was holding the ball. One missed by the umpire. Not missed by McGlynn, though, who takes it. Not a really well-placed kick, and Corns has been doing that for years.
Yeah, it was well done, Corns. It got in front of Everett. The kick did fall short, and they're away here. If they can get this next pass, they've got a 2-on-1 situation.
And a ground, the man that covers so much ground, Toby Green. Unfortunately, his kick doesn't cover any ground.
Well, it's an area he just needs to get better at. He gets plenty of practice too. It's a couple tonight where they should have gone a bit further forward than that one, and it was half a handball. But there was that nice little intercept which he could almost have turned into a goal.
He averages 24 disposals in his first season of AFL footy.
Yeah, it's not a bad start, that's for sure.
Not sure if his name's been mentioned too many times when it comes to the rising star, but he should be considered as well.
He's been the most consistent.
Yep, Shields certainly up there in terms of the top candidates.
And Jeremy Cameron will have a fair say late in the season.
Cameron, I think, is the favourite at the moment with Wallace. Hampton. Oh, that's confusing because he simply ducked and took on Reece Shaw. But anyway, he's going to roll with it. So will we. Sets it up to full forward again. Patton, Richards, telling knock. What it will become of it. Power, he ducked his head as well.
Well, he didn't duck his head. I know he had his ball. He had his head over the ball. I mean, you're entitled to put your head over the ball to pick it up. McGlynn just has to come in a bit lower.
Okay.
Massive players, 50 metres in front of Luke Power.
Shield bombing, mighty kick. Cameron's at the back, couldn't get through to him. Bolton. Scully. O'Keefe.
Well, they're just holding back the tide here, the Swans. Surely they'll get a goal.
Cameron, he's just the man for the moment.
Oh, he's at the post.
Unfortunately, the post happened to be there, as it usually is.
All has been inside their forward 50 for the last 10 minutes.
Too much haste for Armstrong on the kick in. Oh, that appeared to possibly go out. Maybe not. Smith. You're right, Jerry. They're rounding them up at the moment.
Last 10 minutes, they've had the ball in their forward 50 73% of the time, and that looked like it was a fair way out, but hard to be absolute there. And they're just working harder than the Swans at the moment. I'd like to be in the rooms, Colby, at half-time, because I think Coach Longmire might just come from off the long run.
There's the number you were looking for, Jared, I think. The last 10 minutes, time in the forward half.
They're putting a lot of pressure on the defence for the Swans. As you said, they're hanging on, and the floodgates may break open in a minute, but we know they're a talented, very hard-working team, the Swans. They're likely to go back the other way and score a goal.
Well, here's an opportunity for them to do just that.
Oh,
Canterbury had to wait. They split, and look at Jetta. He's off. He's licking those lips. He's ready for it. Here it comes. Takes the mark, and he'll go with the flow. And the umpire's saying that he has to come back behind the mark, which is a little bit of a spoil sport.
Yeah, and that's what we see so much this season from the Sydney Swans, is that run-off half-back with a vacant forward 50. Hear the explanation.
Pulled up, the umpire said.
So with the
If he goes to pull up, and therefore he can't tackle it, he's forward to the mark.
Right, we've heard the explanation there. The forward 50, they leave open so well. On that occasion, often it's McGlynn. On that occasion, it was Jetta just steaming into space. Beautiful kick from Everett to get it out in front of Jetta.
Well, this shouldn't worry him. Once upon a time, it would have. It's there. So against the flow.
Yes, it was, and good to see a little bit of that Sydney slingshot in action. Strange enough, in the 80s, the Sydney slingshot was a post-game beverage, Hutto, but these days it's a hell of a lot more exciting, and it's no one runs harder forward than Lewis Jetta, and you can see there why the umpire dragged him back. It was an outstanding call.
He's a very quick man, that's for sure. There's 30 goals for the season.
Yeah, it's a mighty effort, 30 goals for the season. 12 disposals tonight.
Such a potent weapon with that speed. He's not just an offensive player. His defensive skills are very good as well, but he finishes his work off with kicking those goals now.
Well, GWS wouldn't want to concede another one here, so late in the piece. And McVeigh's going to give Sydney every opportunity here. Jack, as they work the angle across half forward, he guides it for Big Pike, who's shown already he can take a mark. That was much easier than the last one, but Corn swooped. Oh, stripped of it mighty quickly. Hampton, and try marking that, and they will. Patton's a good man to have a crack at it. Richards, McVeigh, 40 seconds on the clock. Here's Roberts. Thompson, again, doing everything but not quite the completion. The handball out the back. Kennedy was looking for teammates, and there just was no one there. He was circled by those GWS jumpers, and it's over the chalk again.
Yeah, they weathered the storm on that occasion, and again, Giants got numbers back, but a juggled mark from LRT wasn't the result the Swans wanted with 30 seconds remaining.
McVeigh.
All downfield.
Oh, that's costly,
Yes,
isn't it?
Sam Reid's going to get the kick here.
Downfield. Sam Reid's kick is downfield. Let's come up there. Back around when he go down if you get a chance. Come back on.
So Sam Reid to have the shot, and we know that goal kicking has been a testing thing for him, but as the season's gone on, he's got a little straighter, and that will do.